1,000 Words podcast. Join us as we discuss the antics of pro athletes, sports politics, and everything in between. No sport nor athlete is off limits. Now, get you a pitcher of wine and enjoy the show. Here are your hosts, Lene and Linnell Fletcher, aka the Fletcher Twins.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of A Pitch is Worth 1,000 Words podcast. It's your girl, Nellie Nell.
And this your girl, Nay. Welcome back, guys. So welcome back to our Women in Sports series, episode 3. And we are joined today by Tamara Washington. She is a sports publicist and entrepreneur. So we're celebrating women all month since this is Women's History Month, and we are glad that Tamara was able to join us today. So how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
We are great. So you are a sports publicist.
I cannot answer the question. I'm not good. I got a really bad cold. New York. I'm in New York, and it's still like 30 and 20 degrees here. So that's why my voice is probably kind of very deep. This is not my regular voice, guys. This isn't my regular voice.
Okay, you'll be fine. Okay, so back to Tamara. So you are a sports publicist. So to the audience, could you explain a little bit exactly what you do and what that is? Because from my end, usually the first thing I think about when I think about publicists is Olivia Pope. So are you like the Olivia Pope for the sports industry or athletes or teams or things like that?
Well, I can be when I need to be. It's not the favorite hat I like to put on. But I am a sports and business publicist, and basically my job is to write the story and create an amazing narrative for the client. And it's all about the brand, what they're doing. Our big focus is off the field. So it's a marriage, what I tell everybody. If they play amazing on the field, we can be amazing off the field. So it's creating situations for them to create partnerships, sponsorships, endorsements. It's handling all of that so their brand can grow and they can thrive. My number one thing is not just the now, but what does the future look like? So we're creating something that can be long-term. Now, because working with athletes, a lot comes with that. Yes. Everybody wants to be close to them. Sometimes they stick their hands where they don't need to stick them. So yes. Sometimes we have to put on the Olivia Pope hat. And like I said, it's not my favorite, but it's something that I am good at. And that is because I worked in TV news for nearly 10 years. So managing editor and assistant news director. And I understand that side of it. We were trained to basically, it's always say triple source. And that means we need 3 sources to make sure it's the correct information. So because my brain is trained that way, being in business for 13 years now, that's where I go when I have to, like you guys say, be Olivia Pope.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's 13 years. That's an accomplishment. Congrats.
Thank you.
So tell us, is like, how did you get in this position? Like, did you have to like study sales or public relations when you were in college, or did you kind of just land into this position based on like maybe it was just an opportunity and you just went for it, or did you like always want to, do this, what you're doing?
No, so I went to school, honestly, I started in engineering, went to the University of Houston, and I went to high school for engineering profession, so that's what I knew, but it was boring to me. So I, junior year, switched to broadcast journalism. So my degree is in broadcast journalism, and so that's how I got into television. And when I decided to leave television, I knew I wanted to be in PR, because the big thing for me was I wanted to get back to what I love, and that was telling stories. And as you move up in management, you don't get to do that part of it, telling and sharing those stories. So I honestly didn't even think about sports. It wasn't even in the business plan. It was not in the first business plan at all. I just knew I wanted to work with everybody. And the reason I didn't want to have a boutique PR firm that just made a concentration on one particular industry, I didn't want to get bored. And in news, because you have to know a little bit about everything, that really kept me on my toes. And I really wanted to, I knew I needed that to keep having fun and enjoying what I was doing. So honestly, that was just the plan. It was really working with small and medium-sized businesses is what I thought. And working with individuals and just kind of navigating where it took me. And truly, it started with a really good friend who's a DJ. He's a Red Bull DJ, and he had to DJ for spring break for Snoop Dogg and in South Padre Islands and a lot of other rappers. And so he's like, hey, do you want to go with me? And he was like, since you're not doing anything, I was like, do not rub it in that I pretty much don't have a job. So I was just like, yeah, I'm not doing anything. Literally, I didn't have any clients. I just moved back to Houston. And I get there and everybody's out performing. It's a huge crowd and I don't see any cameras. Now, mind you, I just leave TV, so that's still what's on my mind. Yeah. So I started calling the people I knew. The media comes out and Red Bull is like, where did the media come from? Like, who? And so my DJ friend says, my publicist. And I was like, so they're like, can we meet in the morning? I'm like, oh my God. So in my head, again, the industry I come from is suit and tie, heels. We're in South Padre. I had shorts, t-shirt. So I'm just like, oh my God, I have nothing appropriate to wear this meeting. Oh my God, what to do? And go to the meeting the next day. And, they're talking, they're asking me a lot of questions. I'm super nervous because I technically don't have any clients. I didn't have a pay structure. I didn't have anything in place. So they were basically like, what's your fee? And so the person who ran the Houston market, he was a Black male and I was a Black woman, and we were the only two Blacks at the table. And he immediately picked up that I didn't know. So he just kind of jumped in and was like, hey guys, I think we're kind of jumping too soon. Let's sort of, keep meeting, see how we can work together. And he was just like, Tamara, I get you over all the information. I was like, okay, thank you so much. So from that particular executive within Red Bull really, really helped me. He helped me create my structure. He helped me create like my pay and everything, and really guided me on how to handle corporate clients. And truly working with Red Bull kind of really taught me the ropes. They had me working a lot on the music side of things. And I'm not going to mention the artist, but a particular artist I had to work with, and I was like, I'm done. This person is being a diva because they can be a diva. Yeah. And I was just like, I know. So I had this talk with the executive, and he's like, you know what? He was like, let's try sports out. We have a 6-on-6. He was like, Reggie Bush is leading it, and kind of laid everything out in there like, can you spearhead that? I'm like, cool. Fast forward, we're at the event. The executives, I'm not sure if you guys know Haywood Jeffries, but if you're a Houston Oiler, diehard Oiler, Houston fan, you know him. his son was playing football because it's high school 6-on-6. And the executives are like, Haywood Jeffries is here. Someone needs to find him. And I was like, I'll go get him. And so they're like, okay, yeah, you wouldn't even know who he is. You're too young. So that's when I learned that they thought I was like 24, fresh out of college. And they just thought I didn't know anything, where that was the complete opposite. At the time, I was 32 years old, and they didn't know I was my dad's son. He never had a tomboy, loved sports. So I went and got Haywood Jeffries. I was like, you're coming with me. And he was like, who are you? I was like, you coming with me. Okay, let's go. And took him to the executives. I was like, here's Mr. Jeffries. What do you want? What do you need? And they were like, oh my God. And it just it took off from there. And Haywood actually signed me a month later.
Wow.
Oh,
And
wow.
after that, it was just sort of a ripple effect. And that's the biggest reason I ended up on the football side. Because I really love football. I know football. I know a lot of the players, but representing them and working with them, that was the start of it.
Okay, that's
so
good.
cool. What's your favorite football team?
Okay, so the correct answer is honestly, I'm always a hometown girl, and I'm always going to root for my Houston teams, no matter what situation we in right now. And after that, my family is from Louisiana, so after that, I'm going to cheer for the New Orleans Saints. But truly, I'm going to end up cheering for a lot of teams because I'm always cheering on my clients. Right. So, of course, Super Bowl, my client, Justin Reed, was in the Super Bowl. I was cheering for the Chiefs all day long. But everyone knows that if he was not on the Chiefs team, I would have had to go with Philly because Jalen Hurts is from Houston. And, so, you know, I'm about hometown, and, you know, I'm going to be that cheerleader.
I'm the complete opposite. I'm from Florida, but I cheer for the Jets, New York Jets.
That's true. Yeah, and I cheer for the Patriots. So that's funny, but no, you really capitalized on the opportunity. So that's really good. People can learn from that. Yeah. So you being a woman in sports, specifically a Black woman in sports, what are some of the obstacles or adversities you've had to face while working in sports?
A lot. A lot. I think over the past 13 years, it's changed a lot in a good way. Mm-hmm. We have a long way to go, but I think it's really changed. And I think what has helped that change is the men. The men have really recognized the power of a woman and recognize it takes a woman to get the job done. I always say I can juggle 10 things, but if you hand me the 11th, I'm gonna drop something. So, and typically, you know, not to bash any men, because I believe we need men and men need us, but men usually have tunnel vision. They can usually— That's
true. That is
on one thing, and it's like, look, don't tell me to do two things. I'm trying to finish this, you know, this one thing. But usually when I started, and I know I'm still sort of a baby in the industry, but when I started 13 years ago, usually I was the only woman at the table. Mm-hmm. And to top it off, I was the only Black person, Black woman at the table, other than if my client was in that meeting. Typically, you know, it would be a Black male that will be the only person. But on the business side of things, other women, you didn't see that. So it was just always one of us at the table. And basically, you know, majority of the time, we were treated as if we were just the assistant. Mm-hmm. And we just didn't have a say in anything or didn't know anything. But I think now that more men are speaking up, especially the executives and not just the athletes, but the executives recognizing our power, how we can get something done and what we do. I think that's made a huge difference. And I think now that the athletes are truly building teams around the woman, I mean, Jalen Hurts has an all women's team.
Yeah.
And it's several other players that have an all women's team. Like my client, Justin Reed, our team only consists of one man. And Justin says it all the time. Women will get it done. Now, do we, have our little fights and everything? Yeah, but he understands that if I need to get these 10 things done, they're going to not only get it done, but they're going to do it with greatness. They're going to do it with poise, and it's going to be done correctly. So I think that's what's truly helping. And I think that it's making us more comfortable to speak up when we're in the room. And I think the other thing that's making us more comfortable is inviting other women to the table. I think at a certain point, we got quiet and didn't figure out a way to get other women to the table because honestly, we probably were in shock that we made it to the table. And so it was like, okay, wait, I'm gonna have to sit here a while before I can get someone else. So I think it's a combination of things, but it's really changing. This, I would say every year, more and more that I go to Super Bowl now, I see way more women on the management side of things, behind the scenes running the show.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, I saw your Instagram when you were at the Super Bowl, and I was like, wow. So that leads me into my next question, because going to the Super Bowl is definitely on my bucket list. I don't even care who's playing. I just want to be there for the experience. But so that leads to my next question. What is the best part about working in sports? And with your position, what are the perks, if any?
Oh, okay. So if you are truly a sports fan, for the particular sport of the one that your client plays, you will get excited because you will get to meet people you grew up watching. You will, the stories that are told, the history that's made, the catch that everybody saw, the touchdown that went viral. Like, you get to meet those people. You get to shake their hands. You get to be in the room with them. And it's just one of those situations where you can just tell the story. A lot of my friends like, you didn't take any pictures here. And that's the other thing you'll learn. You'll learn that when you're in certain rooms, don't pull out your camera. Just nobody else had that camera out. Put your phone away. So, because you want to make sure people know you belong in the room, and not just be happy to be in the room. Like, you belong in the room. So you do learn the etiquette. But I would say that's one of the big highlights. And then the other highlight for me is when your client does so well, the opportunities that you can only dream of, the opportunities that you see other players get and do, and you're just sitting there wishing and hoping you could do it for your client. And it's not that you're not working on it. No one's just talking about your client right now. But as soon as someone calls you back, send that email, and you're on, Good Morning America, or they're on the cover of GQ, or like those, that's what gets you excited. It's like, oh yeah, I did that. And you don't need to see your face. Your client is the face for you. So it's those things. But yeah, you do get to go to all the cool places, all the fun places, and travel a lot. I was in a meeting today and we were talking about travel, and I was like, yeah, I am a Premier 1K member for United. They were like, Tamara, that's the extreme type. You can't go above that. They were like, how many days did you travel? I said, usually like 20 days out the month, I'm on an airplane.
Wow.
So now that is the negative. And people think traveling is fun, but traveling, I'm a single woman in my 40s, no children. So messes with my personal life. Takes me off of my schedule. So my day-to-day is always different. And you still need to take care of your health and take care of yourself. I'm big about that. You know, trying to get your sleep, get your workouts in. But it's like you may have to go to West Coast to East Coast. So your body's always screwed up at a certain point. You're just confused about life, don't know what day it is. You're late for a Zoom meeting maybe because you put it in the calendar at the wrong time. And you know, it's a lot that comes with that. But at the end of the day, I love what I do. And it's all about balance. And you have to recognize when to say no and be comfortable in saying no and not feel guilt. And I think that's been the biggest thing that's changed since I've started. I used to say yes to everything.
Right.
It's like, I'm there, you know, and it was like, that wasn't a great idea.
That's funny.
Yeah, I be seeing the memes about saying no and setting boundaries, and they be like, no is a complete sentence. Like, you don't need an explanation. I mean, but for what, you probably would explain why, but I'm just saying, saying no to certain things isn't a bad thing. But yeah, when you first start, you want to get involved and do everything. So I get that.
Yeah, I mean, you have to, a mentor told me, you know, being everywhere and trying to be famous will get you broke. And when I stopped to think about it, at first I was like, huh? And when I stopped to think about it, I was like, you know what? That makes so much sense. Because when you're going to these different events and there are photos taken and stuff, what happens? You end up knowing, okay, I need something else to wear. Okay, you just spent money on an outfit. And this is not, I love Tarjay, wear Tarjay all the time, but you can't run the Tarjay on this particular occasion. So you now are spending money to get something to wear. You're spending hair, makeup. You have to say it's not in your city. So you're buying a flight, you're paying for hotel. And typically certain events, you're responsible for that cost and not your client, because you're trying to network and build your brand. Mm-hmm. So when you start adding it up, you just spent $1,000 or more. And what was the return? And you don't have an answer. So yeah, I think that is a mistake that a lot of entrepreneurs make when they're starting. I did it. I'm not going to sit here and judge. I did it. Was it smart? No. But at the same time, I didn't have that mentor at the time to tell me that. So it's just truly best to be as strategic as possible. Like, you know, sometimes you're not going to always get it right. I'm not saying that you're not going to go to these events and leave and it's a total bust, but you want to do your best to be strategic, make sure you are choosing the right rooms to be in when that invitation is open, and just not being afraid to say no.
Okay.
That's good advice.
That was actually going to be my next question, but Neil, you could go ahead. She answered my next question. I was going to ask about, like, what advice would you give women that want to start working in sports? But that was good.
It's a lot of advice I would give, but I will say that understand the why. Don't just chase celebrities. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of athletes I can name that made a lot of money, and when they retired, went broke, and that person no longer had a client. Be smart and understand that in sports, the guys are one player away from being done.
Yeah.
So look at the big picture now, and not just the now picture. So that's one big thing that we look at when we are vetting new clients. We want to know what's the plan and what is your thought process for after the game, because our goal is to work with you beyond the game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's extremely important. The other thing, don't step on others' toes, especially if you're working with NFL players. It's almost 2,000 NFL players.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to get the starter all the time. It's, it's a lot of players that's on the practice squad that as soon as they get their name called, they're going to be a superstar. Mm-hmm. So don't step on toes. Don't feel like other publicists or managers are your competition. You are your competition. If anything, you should be friends with them. You should learn from them. You should try to, speak with them and figure out how to do things better. Mm-hmm. But that's not the route to go to make people your enemy and to feel like you need to compete against someone. If everybody works together, everybody can be successful. But once you understand the why, everything, comes into play. And the last thing I would say is when you get a seat at the table, make sure you make room for another woman at the table.
Nice.
That's good. And I have a couple questions. You kind of touched on a few of them in your speech. I was going to say, do you vet your prospects or your potential clients? Because I know you probably don't want to just take everybody, especially if they had like a troubling past, maybe in college. So how do you and your team vet potential clients?
If they have a troubled past, honestly, that doesn't matter to me. We get a lot of calls to do crisis communications, Olivia Pope. So the biggest thing, and I say this all the time when I'm talking to people, I pray all the time. And I do a spirit check when we are vetting clients, meaning I grew up in the hood, but I had two parents, but I, grew up in a certain community and I didn't have everything. I understand that. I have male cousins who didn't have their father in their life. And I saw the path that they took because they didn't have a male figure in their life. I understand that. So when I am talking to the athletes, just because they got into trouble, that doesn't bother me. It's nothing they can say to me that's going to make me be like, oh my God, don't talk to me. I can't meet with you. No, I'm not afraid of that. I grew up in it. But what I do look for is, are they willing to change? Do they want to grow? And do they want to build generational wealth?
Okay.
And if those are all no's or one is a no, I'm not the person for you. My team is not the team for you. But if you do want to change, you do want to position you and your family and put them in the best place possible, then yeah, people fall all the time. And I always say, God gave me grace all the time. It's a lot of times I was like, ooh, but, so I think it's only right, especially as a Christian, that I give others the same grace. Now, you're not going to walk over me. You're not going to continuously lie to me. And I'm not saying that people don't fall down again, but it's really, are you conscious about what just happened? Are you truly sorry about what you did? And are you truly staying on the path to make sure you get better and be better? So a lot of that goes into it. And I truly just look at the person. I don't even get to the family, because families you will have one awesome family, then you will have a family that you're like, that's the family you came from? Oh. So, I do know some colleagues struggle with that. They're like, family's crazy. I can't work with family, so I can't work with him.
Mm-hmm.
That just comes with the territory. I'm like, part of my family's crazy. So that comes with the territory, but it's strictly about the person. And I do believe God sends certain athletes to me to help them with what they're going through. For whatever reason, I've been blessed where all my clients do believe in God. And it's okay if I say, can I pray for you or pray with you? I don't have one of the guys that'll be like, no, that's crazy. Like, what are you doing? If anything, they're like, please, thank you. So yeah, we're praying over here. We love Jesus over here. And so I think, that's the difference.
Okay, and you kind of touched on my next question. I was going to ask, do you get it good with the family members? But you kind of touched on that. So another question is, because
Well,
I know
it's more than that. Like
Okay.
you want to build a relationship with the family if you can, because it truly helps also tell their story and who they are and why they are who they are. But it all depends on the dynamics.
Right.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes, depending on the situation, guys are challenged because they're trying to do better, but sometimes it's family that doesn't want to change.
Right.
So it's all different dynamics that you have to deal with. And it's being strategic in how you move and how you handle things with them, because at the same time, no one can change their family. It's their family. And regardless if you're like, oh my God, get rid of them. I mean, it's their family. It's their family. That's all the answer I have. So, you just have to be strategic and be open to, having those conversations. I have a very trusted relationship with my clients. So if a problem does arise, we can sit down and have that conversation about the family, and they're not going to be angry, with me because we're having the conversation. We can talk about, because I want not only my client to grow and be great, I want the family to grow and be great.
Right. So, and I know with a lot of athletes, they have like a legal team, and they also have agents and things like that. Do you have to build relationships with those people as well?
Yeah, I mean, everybody that helps make that player successful, the more that his entire team is talking, the more successful he's going to be. So I'm not only a publicist, I am a manager. So I build teams as well.
Okay.
So I make sure they have the best legal team, the best insurance team. Usually the agent is already in. If I'm not their publicist, the best publicist, and I'm just acting as manager. So yeah, but no matter what position you're in on the team, you want to have a great relationship with everybody, because number one, you never know who else they are going to work with or that you have to work with. Like the sports world is so big, but it's so small. So it's the other way that you do get business as well, because when they work with you on one team and they have a client that needs a publicist or needs a manager, because they work so well with you, they are going to refer you. So regardless of how you feel about someone, you have to throw it out the window and keep a great relationship as best as you can with them, because again, big world, but very small world. Everybody knows everybody, and you never know how you have to, what dynamic you will have to work with that person again.
Okay. And my one last question, I think, is going to segue into Nate, the scandal things. Let's say a scandal was about to be revealed about one of your clients. Do you like to get in front of it, or do you guys like to like let it die down on its own? Because our attention span is like 2 seconds. So
This is true.
Well, yes, the news cycle changes quick, but if the news is released, majority of the time, I did not do my job.
okay. So you don't ever want it to be released.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if it is out of my control and it is released, we're doing everything to smooth it over, because what happens is, what people don't realize is, when things happen, it's just not hurting your client with him being in the news right now. What's happening is, we're getting calls from companies they have endorsements with, sponsorships with, partnerships with. The team, the employer, is calling us, and we're trying to strategize in how to fix it, because you can never understand or know how long something is going to linger and last. You don't know if there are other journalists digging something up and they found something. You don't know that. So a lot's happening when that story's out, and you're probably like, oh, it'll be gone tomorrow. I can take the Morant situation. I honestly, just like you just said, I was like, oh, he waved a gun. It's kind of, no, it's been a story every day.
Yeah, that's
That
funny,
first one,
because that was our scandal that we were going to get into next. So we saved this story to when you were going to come on. So we haven't talked about it yet. So I'm just a little background about Ja Morant. He's 23, which in our opinion means he's not even fully developed yet.
no.
In his fourth season with the Grizzlies, two-time All-Star, one-time All-NBA selection. He was the second overall pick in 2019 draft. He won Rookie of the Year his first year, and then the very next year he won Most Improved Player. So basically, early Saturday morning, March 4th, he was on his Instagram Live from his account, rapping, singing along, dancing in a nightclub, and then he briefly, flashed what appeared to be a gun. Then
I
he
don't
could
know about y'all, but at first when I saw the video, it looked like it was a toy gun. It looked so small, but then I was like, well, maybe he's just that big. I don't know, but it looked really small. But go ahead.
And then he just continued to, sing and dance. All of this came after hours after they lost to the Denver Nuggets that Friday. And also a week prior to that, allegations resurfaced of him punching a teenager during a basketball game back in June. So since all of this has come out, he's entered into a counseling program here in Florida, in my neck of the woods. He vows to seek help for his off the court decision making. And right now there's no timetable for him to return. So our question to you, being a publicist, what are your thoughts on this? If one of your clients had a similar situation, what would you do? Yeah.
Yes, hold on before she answered that. I think he was released from the Florida thing, and today he got the NBA suspended him for 8 more games today. And also there was a little scandal with him and some of his homeboys. I guess they were in a car and they got like a little argument with somebody else on another team, and red laser beam was seen on some other players, which people thought that mean one of them was pointing a gun to him. And he also got into, I guess, allegedly an altercation with a mall security guard. So it's just been scandal after scandal after scandal for Ja Morant. And I believe Powerade has took their sponsorship from him, if I'm not mistaken. If you could correct me, Tamara.
I don't know. I will say this. I do have a couple of colleagues that are involved in that situation, but I do not know him personally. I do not have any clients that, are friends with him. So I am going to be very, careful in my response, because I know I could be the publicist in this situation.
Right.
But I do believe it's important, and I truly go back to prayer and understanding your client. It's important to build a relationship with them. It's important to understand where they come from. I actually go where they come from. I had a client from Haiti. Let me go to Haiti. I gotta understand it. I cannot be the best for my client if I don't understand them. As a publicist, you cannot get messaging correct. You cannot be their voice, because technically that's what you are.
Uh-huh.
You cannot do that if you don't understand them. So for me, it sounds like it's just been a ripple effect of things left and right. And you have to be able to recognize it quickly. I'm not calling us doctors or therapists or anything, but because you have learned who they are, because you are learning who they are, you have to be able to recognize something's off and we need to make some changes. We need to have some meetings or something. You do have to learn how to be sensitive to certain things, though, because just like any of us, we have triggers. You all have a trigger. I have a trigger. So they have a trigger. So you still have to strategize to come up with the best plan for your client. Our job goes beyond getting an interview, getting a cover story, whatever. So everything you guys are sharing that I totally didn't read, it truly sounds like it's just been a ripple effect, and it's been triggers, and no one has stopped to say, okay, what's going on? The other thing I want to add, and I will say this from what I've listened to in the few things I have read, a lot of times it sounds like the crowd you hang around. Mm-hmm. I tell my clients this: I don't care that you're in the NFL and all your friends play in the NFL. I don't care. All of them are not leaders. All of them are not on the same level you're on. And I'm not even talking about money. I'm talking about mental. I'm talking about business. I'm talking about beyond the game. I'm talking about philanthropy. It is beyond you make 100 million and I make 20 million. Mm-hmm. You have to be smart about who you have in your space and who you have in your circle. Mm-hmm. There are athletes who will never change. They grew up a certain way. They still want to hang with the people they grew up with. And that's who they want to be because that's their comfort.
Right.
And you can only do so much for those players. But then you do have the player like, LeBron James, who took the people he grew up with and helped them. Mm-hmm. And to make sure everybody's moving in the right direction. So I do understand he's 23, and because he's young, I don't know all the dynamics or whatever, but it sounds like he truly needs someone in his life that will hold him responsible. And I know a lot of people talked about, the dad and things like that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
The dad can only do so much because at the end of the day, he's still his dad,
Yeah.
And I think it truly will take another trusted person that he can look up to that's not his dad. Because it's, I can say, I can talk to my parents about anything, but still, it's certain conversations that we'll have.
Right.
I'm still going to hold some things back
Uh-huh.
because I don't want them to look at me a certain way, or I don't want them to judge me a certain way. And maybe I really don't want them to know everything. But I do know deep down, at the end of the day, I could trust them with everything and I could talk to them about everything. So I think that dynamic, what everyone keeps saying, what is his dad doing? His dad is dad. I think that's a lot of pressure on him. I think you truly gotta have that person. I have people in my circle that I look up to, and if they knew I messed up, I would just have shame on my face.
Yeah.
So they hold me accountable, to do the right thing. So.
Right. And about that with the dad situation, Shannon Sharp, because I watch Undisputed sometimes, and Shannon Sharp made a good point. And he was like, well, at this point, the kid has become the provider. So is he really going to listen to his dad? And I'm like, I don't know. But he should. But sometimes
I
when
would
it comes to
agree. I
determining,
wouldn't agree with that. I don't think most of the athletes that I work with and that I've been around that have, been in the position where because of them, their parents are able to live a certain lifestyle. I think there's still a respect, and you don't look at yourself as the provider. I do a lot of things for my parents, and I want them to live their best life because they did everything to make sure I could live mine. And I'm sure they wish they could have done more, but that's why we call it generational wealth. You're building for the next generation. So I know that they did better than what they did growing up. And it's just been a ripple effect. I hope and pray they never look at me like that. And I know that majority of the guys that I know, they don't and wouldn't consider themselves and put that title on them as the provider. Now, there are some other family members they would probably say, yeah. But I don't, and I could be totally wrong, but I truly, from everything I've heard about that relationship, I think he has a respect for his father. His father has a respect for him, but he doesn't see it like that. So I love Shannon Sharp, but I wouldn't agree.
Okay.
So before we get to our highlight of the week, I wanted to ask you, so what's next for you? Like, do you have any short-term or long-term goals for your company or individually yourself?
Yeah, so this year we've been focusing on moving into the MLB space.
Okay.
So baseball. So and hoping to bring on a couple of new people as well, but that's really been our focus and the adjustment that we've been making here. Still working with other corporations, nonprofits, individuals, and small business. That never stops. But on the sports side, we've been extremely intentional about being in that space. And then individually, it's coming from behind the scenes. I feel like I keep getting poked. And that's all I've known is, being behind the scenes. And I've gotten pulled like you guys pulled me. And immediately immediately I said yes, because I was like, I said I'm going to start coming from, you know, behind the scenes. That's just, it's been my comfort zone. And so that's why I've always stayed there. So just doing more of that. And I truly started during Super Bowl week. I was doing interviews on Radio Row for 3 days. And I was the whole time like, I see why my clients hate this. I was like, oh my God. So yeah, for me as an individual, is really understanding I do have a message to share, and it's one that people need to hear, especially women. You don't realize the anxiety that we carry until you start talking to more women, and you're like, I feel the same way. Oh my God. And so I realized it's going to be my fault if I don't speak up more and I don't talk about it more, and I don't build this comfort for other women to know that they can do the same thing, do it better, and do it bigger. Because if it just stops with me, we're in trouble. I have a lot to do. So yeah, those are two like big things as an individual. And as a company, how we really want to grow in 2023, and just be more loud. That's what I've been saying. Just be more loud. They get mad. Oh, well, be more loud.
I like that. I like that. That's nice. Okay, so for our highlight of the week, we wanted to highlight, and I think we brought her up earlier, Nicole Lynn. She's a sports agent, first Black woman to represent an NFL draft pick, and the first Black woman to serve as an agent for a player in the Super Bowl. She's the agent for Jalen Hurts. So we just wanted to give her a shout out. And before we leave, let Tamara, let everyone know where they can find you on social media.
I am my brand. My company is Boom Media and Image Consulting. So I am Boom Tamara on all social platforms except for Facebook and LinkedIn. I'm my name, Tamara M. Washington. So Twitter and Instagram, you can find me Boom Tamara. And then our company is Boom Media and Image on all platforms.
Before we leave, you just jogged my memory. I wanted to ask you a question when you mentioned you're their voice, like your clients' voices. So question, when they because social media is so big, so when they, for instance, want to tweet something, do they have to run every tweet by their publicist, or is it only certain tweets?
Sometime I wake up and like, God, why did this say why? No, we do, man. So let me make sure I phrase this correctly. So as a publicist, technically you are managing their social, but as a publicist, you don't necessarily have access to all social accounts. So you're basically, you basically do come up with a strategic plan, social media plan for your client, and you put in the tools in place for them to follow so he can or she can be successful. So that's one aspect of it. But the other aspect is when you don't have full control and they're kind of posting and kind of doing whatever, does make your job a little challenging. You do have to monitor what's going on. And like I said, you may wake up to a tweet and maybe like, what were you thinking? I'm sorry. Why are you in a Twitter war with a fan? They really don't know you. I'm not sure if you didn't know that they don't know you. So yeah, it's no, if I had to monitor every tweet they wanted to send, I would not have a life. So, on Twitter, I just tell them, have fun, engage. Don't fight with fans. Don't fight with your friends, but sometimes it goes in one ear and out the other. And I get it because fans can be really nasty and take really, really nasty digs. And you're like, what is happening? Are you that angry? Like, what's going on? So yeah, I get it, but some people, they can't take it and they need to clap back.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Well, we want to thank you so much, Tamara, for joining us. And yeah, you did answer us immediately. So, and we were so happy about that because we were like scrambling around. This is our first time doing women in sports series the whole month. So we were happy you got right back to us. Happy you were able to join us tonight.
Thank you
so much.
Yeah, we wish you and your company the best. Oh,
thank you, ladies.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Later. Bye.
Hey y'all, thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of A Picture is Worth 1,000 Words with yours truly, the Fletcher Twins. Make sure you join us every week and rate, comment, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit up our email at podcast.1000words@gmail.com with any questions or topics you'd like to hear us cover. Also, check us out on IG at the Fletcher Twins and Facebook at A Picture is Worth 1,000 Words.